Visualize our Guru walking towards ourselves. His Paduka are walking towards us. Mentally bow down to this Paduka, keeping this visualization. Let us chant Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasadrusham Tattvamasyadhilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavaतीतं Triguणरहितं Sadgurum Tam Namami Dhyanamoolam Gururmurti Poojamulam Gururpadam Mokshamulam Gururvakyam Mantramulam Gururvakyam Mokshamulam Gurukrupa Om. Slowly open your eyes.
So today I thought we could structure the call such that we cover a few different topics. In the first, we just try and understand who we're working with. So just what life is like for people who are seniors, and it's not one monolith. Also, just understanding the different kind of categories and groupings, and then to also focus a little bit more on the kind of changes that happen in their body and mind as we age. Uh, and then I think once we cover those two things, we can then think about goals as a yoga teacher and modifications of how to teach yoga. Um, I think it can be tempting to go straight into how we modify and teach the specific postures, but I think the way we teach can be a lot richer if we start with understanding what our goals are. So let me know if you're all okay with that. And then I was just thinking, I imagine different people have different experiences working with seniors, so we can just try and get the intelligence out of the group. And I was thinking maybe I can send a link for a Google Doc where we can type up the things that we are sharing. Are you all okay with that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Okay, so I should set up a Google Doc. So I guess to start off with, what age, how do you all define seniors? What age range comes to mind, or what capacities come to mind when you're talking about seniors?
60 plus.
Others?
So yeah, I mean, 50, 60 plus. However, I mean, yeah, by age. However, I figured that probably it is that even the younger people are. I mean, my age group people are also. Yeah, I mean, okay. So let's start with the age. I mean, that's how we classify it for now. Otherwise, it can be probably
I think
maybe there are other factors. Yes, please.
yeah, I guess it can be 50 or 55 plus people.
I would say that Parag was 48, 49.
Parag is 50.
And 50. And then our roommate, Prachi.
Yeah, I'm 45.
No, not Prachi. I mean the other one. I forgot the name. Yeah.
Vidya.
Vidya
was
was
also 50. Yeah,
52. So I'm saying that they were quite fit. I don't know.
See, actually, see 50, 55, no, the challenges will be there, but we cannot put them as a senior citizen. So senior citizen comes under 60. That is what I feel.
So we can say
Onwards.
58 because I feel now the retirement age in some organization is 58. So we can give 2 years of this thing and say 58 to plus.
Okay.
So actually the retirement age concept is basically based on economics. What happened was that, I mean, just so actually what happened was that there was a British guy, and he said, how much does it take for a cobbler to make new shoes? So the cobbler from the beginning takes 2 days to make a new shoe. And he said that, and the rest of the time the cobbler is sitting and not doing anything. So he said that is not done. There should be a productive method, and it is pre-industrialization when we invented the steam engine, when the pollution started. So he actually bought this concept of wages and working for 8 hours a day, which was then taken up by Henry Ford. And from there, when the median average age, because that time the average age of a person dying was around, so around, it started from 40s, then went to 50s, then 60s, then 70s, and now average age is around 80s. So that concept of a productive working lifestyle, productive is based on the concept of a person who can generate income. So it's a resource.
No. Amit, here we are talking about in terms of yoga, in terms of health. So in medical terms, we say that after the age of 65, the body, the physical body stops regenerating. So 65 above is called elderly. So 65 to 74, 75 is called early elderlies, and 75 above is called late elderly. So let's go medically. Why I'm saying 60 is because in today's generation, the older days, the saying was the older we become, the wiser we get. But because of Kali Yuga and because of lifestyle and modernization, things have changed. So basically, what the definition is, sathiya gaya. 60 ke baad sathiya gaya. So the thing is reversed. So let's go medically. See, when I was studying yoga for kids, so yoga should be introduced to kids only at the age of 7 to 8, because till the age of 8, till the age of 4, 5, the pineal gland is quite active. From the age of 5 to 8, the pineal gland starts, stop functioning. If yoga is not introduced at the age of 8, it stops functioning. That is why yoga is introduced at the age of 8, so that when children are growing up, the sexual correlation or the awareness of sexuality comes later on. So the puberty comes later on. Otherwise, early puberty hits kids these days at 11. So yoga helps in late puberty by the age of 14, 15, which is normal. Same thing in case for yoga for seniors. From the age of 65, medically, the body stops regenerating itself. So their body becomes weak, the immunity becomes weak. So let's go medical. 60, 65, we can say. What do others say?
This
Yeah,
makes
let's go medically, na, because yoga is for the health.
Yeah, medically is a better rather than economically.
So 65, reason being that the body stops regenerating itself. If a person is normally healthy and not introduced to yoga at the moment.
So let's pause here on the age thing, because I'm sure we can get into the weeds of defining these, and that's not the purpose to specifically define. But I think, you know, the key points I want to pull out that this discussion highlighted is that it's not fixed. We have different ideas, and it's also not for us to define. People self-define when they feel like they're a senior. And as you highlighted, different people have different capabilities in their body. Like I think this yoga batch has two people who are going to become teachers. One is in 82 and the other one is 78. So we need to keep hold age lightly and take capacity.
Sorry. This current yoga batch.
Yeah. So sir blessed a couple who's 78 and 82 to become yoga teachers. But it's useful to have a general framework. And, you know, when people start thinking about yoga for seniors, 50, 55 onwards is often the thing that comes to mind. And in that, as Neha highlighted, you usually have different categories. You know, in the other yoga school that I've trained in, we call this the sunset years. If the brahmacharya is the sunrise and the middle, like 25 to 50 is your midday, then sunset is the later years. And so we generally talk about early sunset, mid sunset, late sunset, which is again vaguely around both age and also around capability. So that's why when we talk about teaching yoga for seniors, we should be mindful about which specific category we're tailoring to, because even if you're doing a general yoga for seniors, you'll need to be able to modify based on these subcategories, or you may actually, depending on the size of your class, you may actually want to teach different classes based on different mobilities. And the other thing is, you may even, if you're doing it based on physical capacity and mental capacity, that may also open it up to different people who may be of a different age, but may be struggling with other health issues, to whom a class like this might be applicable. So we just talked about, you know, age way of looking at it. So let's actually talk about a bit more about what happens, you know, what's happening in their life. So socially, what's going on. So I think this is where economics does matter, and where they're at in their work phase, where they're at with their families and social connection and isolation. So we can start with that, but then also move into what's happening with their health. So open for all to contribute.
I didn't get it. How, I mean, when a person is on the yoga mat, how will it matter? I mean, I didn't get this.
Yeah. So I'll make the connection later on. For now, let us just dive in a little bit into what is happening generically in this stage. I can start. So for example, a lot of people are starting to retire, and the high point of their career is starting to decline. A lot of them have had to move away from the places where they were in control of their life. So they were leading their families, and they knew everyone in their community. Often they've had to move in with wherever the kids have shifted to, or they can no longer live independently. You know, they've had to shift houses to live in a place that's more comfortable for them. So there's a change in social. For some people, it is a time, depending on the age again, where there is a lot more social connection. But for many, it's also a time where they start to experience social isolation. And especially once, they become empty nesters and kids have left, or kids are now going on with their lives, there's often a sense of vacancy and wanting to fill a gap in their life. Another thing is there's often a lot of transition in life. Again, like whether you're moving house to live with a new family, or you're moving on to be more by yourself. So there actually can be a lot of instability also, which we normally associate with, like, coming into college or starting a new job. But actually, even in our senior years, there can be a lot of changes. Okay, Rakhi called, asked for the
Yeah, I have
password.
sent her. You know what? Now that you're saying this, I could relate, because when I was teaching pranic healing, there was this retired
Sorry, I
general.
completely missed that. I was attending Raki's call. I'm so sorry. I completely missed that. Deepa's
I'm just
explanation.
in continuation what Deepa said,
Okay.
that I had one case where these couple had come for the sessions, meditations, and they wanted to learn pranic healing and all. So this was this gentleman. He retired as a in general from the army. So he was not going through so much, because even after retirement, he was still quite how would I say? He was quite in the game, because he used to mentor the juniors and all. But his wife struggled. His wife was what happened was, she's like, even if she raised one voice, there were four servants standing. She was like, in last 40 years, she's never even opened the door of the car, and now all of a sudden she has to drive herself to even get groceries. So she was going through a lot of depression that time. Now I can relate. Yeah.
Other things people want to share?
Sorry, Deepa, I missed that. So can you please just hint upon it so that I get the context right, because I missed the context.
Prachi is saying something. Prachi, you have to
Yes.
unmute.
No, Deepa, I was just saying that document, why don't you share that screen over there, and you only type whatever discussion is happening and share the screen, have the screen over here, so that it is visible to all. Instead
Sure, but then you guys just have to tell me what I have missed, because I'm not able to catch everything. So,
Yeah.
Someone has to write the minutes. I'll do that. Just give me a minute. I'll get a paper pen.
Yeah.
I'll start writing. It's like a studying a minutes. I'll get it.
No, I think Prachi, the document will be something that other people can see now. So I think for those who are watching the call, it might be nicer for them to see the. Are you able
Because
to? I
you'll
mean,
be
Prachi, are
sharing
you
the
able to see
recording
the
of the call
document?
also, na?
Yeah,
I
I
will
can
be sharing
see the document, but when I'm going to the document, no, what is happening is I'm unable to see you all, and the discussion gets disconnected. So it would be preferable if you share that document here at the screen.
Okay, okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah, sure.
So Neha, it's kind of a minutes itself, right? Whatever we are discussing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Neha, you're able to log on? I put the link in the chat.
I am using my iPad, so I won't be able to type so fast.
Okay.
We can see.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can, and I'm comfortable writing than typing.
Okay.
So yeah, Amit, just the quick context is we're just looking at what's happening in the life of seniors, and obviously it's a large age range. So we're saying things like a lot of them are retiring or in the process of retiring. So they're generally at the later age of their career, if not have left. Some after in this phase can become much more socially active with the new community. Others can experience isolation, having left their work, or the kids having left home, whatever their primary vocation was, paid or unpaid. And then there can be a lot of changes. Sometimes they have to move homes to move in with their kids wherever they are, or may have relocated due to mobility issues, etc. So there's often a lot of changes. So it's not just early in life, when we're in college or getting to jobs, that there's a lot of changes. Often in this time also there can be a lot of instability. So we're just trying to understand the context of what might be happening. So based on that, Neha was contributing. So I was opening it up for other people to also share
Thank you.
based on their experience of having seniors in their life. What other personal things you feel like are going on either physically or socially?
So they start losing the confidence actually in this particular age. So
right,
one point. Then
I think it's they also start isolating themselves.
Yeah, that she has mentioned.
That's how she has mentioned. Because I saw that.
Loneliness, because loneliness
Hmm.
strikes in. All of a sudden, they are not. What is that term? They're not valid anymore. Relatable. Yeah, they can't relate to the. They're not relatable and feel lonely.
Then the fear of death is there. Fear.
Because
Mm.
this loneliness and non relatability I have had with senior citizens while working.
Yeah, so I'll just
Fear of
add.
losing partner.
Like
Fear
my
of
parents.
Sorry, two
Yes.
people are speaking. Prachi and then who was the
Okay,
other
Ila, you
person?
speak.
So my mother can't sleep at night. So that's another issue that they face, that their sleep has reduced and that keep their mind little agitated or active.
Yeah.
So sleeplessness is I think a major problem that I see, that they're not able to get that much sleep.
Then fear of losing the partner. That is
Death of loved ones. Okay, and mentally, I mean, dementia is a very common thing. Alzheimer's, there's other mental health issues that kick in that people want to share.
Yeah. For example, feeling of inadequacy, not having accomplished much in life, feeling of wasted time, regrets, and not being able to cope with things.
They-
So there's a
Yeah.
and also they are so set in their many times people are so set in their frameworks, in their beliefs, that they kind of find it very hard to get out of their comfort zone at this age. It becomes harder with age. So,
they become
And-
attention seeker. Attention seeker.
With retirement, career decline, we can also write, they become financially dependent. Some of them, yeah. Financial independence.
So they become attention seeker like kids. Like sometimes they feel that we are very busy in our lives, and they feel that people are not paying attention, which is a regular. But then all of a sudden they have that feeling.
Sorry, I didn't catch that last one, Prachi.
They become all of a sudden they become attention seeker like kids.
Okay, and can we focus? So I'm actually separating this into challenges and things that improve, because I think it's important we don't just look at just the challenging things that are happening. But before we move on from challenges, are there other physical or mental diseases? So I'll throw in two: arthritis.
Arthritis, high BP, arthritis, high BP, sugar.
Just write that body stops regenerating, because that's a medically proven thing.
But we should know the specific ways, because that affects what kind of asana you give.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. These are the challenges. Then we'll go that the challenges are, because as trainers, we have to be very clear that the asanas, because you remember what Vivek said once, that, it's easier to teach children because their body, even if, they fall or they twist, their body heals quite very fast. With senior citizens, we have to be very careful because their body doesn't regenerate easily. So if they are not yogis, if they are non-yogis and they're starting yoga at this age, then chances of injuries are quite high and chances of recovery is quite low. So this is a very important challenge as a yoga teacher we will face. You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Diabetes is a very common high BP, diabetes, gout. Gout is there now these days because of gout. And
Osteoporosis is there.
Osteoporosis, probably some surgery, medical surgery, gallbladder or something, some surgeries. Maybe some others injuries.
No, I'm just
diseases. See, when the body stops,
Yeah.
then the body stops regenerating. So kidney gets affected and heart gets affected. So any ailment related to kidneys, they are more prone to urine infection, prostates, right? So that is why their diet changes, and then the heart condition starts becoming weak. So these two are the major. The liver also gets affected because they are not able to digest easily as they were as 45, 50-year-olds. And then all the diseases will be related to that digestive, heart and kidney.
So I think Ela said insomnia. Insomnia is also
Psychosomatic.
insomnia is very prevalent in senior citizens.
See, actually, all the physical challenges will be there. So we have to focus on most of this, all the physical challenges. We cannot, note all those here. We just have to focus because every senior citizen will have different issues. Some people have mostly knee injuries. So, or the knees are getting hurt this age. So we cannot list them out. I mean, there will be so many, what I mean to say. Physical challenges will be too many.
So let's move on and go into how life may change for the better. So I'll throw two out. Some may start a new era of their life and build a new circle of friends, like the example Neha was sharing with the army person. Others actually, now that the responsibilities are gone, start to relax and enjoy life, and a lot start to become interested in spirituality, feeling like now the time has come that they can. So any other things?
Seva, and they develop new hobbies. There are lots of YouTube channels started by senior citizens after retirement.
They become more socially active, actually.
No, they go back to their old hobbies because I met this uncle auntie. So they said that working till the age of 60, they didn't have a single plant. And now they have more than 500 plants in the 3 BHK because they always wanted, but they didn't have time.
So sometimes they go into isolation also, because they isolate themselves from externals and just plonk themselves in front of the TV and just watch, because it's kind of and channel surfing continuously, like watch news from like 12 hours a day, watching news continuously, things like that. So they kind of shy away from stimulus.
Other things and how life improves?
Improvement, yes, they spend a lot of time with their grandchildren, which they didn't with their own children, because that's happening with my parents. My father was like, I was so busy making money and earning a living that I don't know when you guys grew up, me and my brother. And now with my kids, they're actually enjoying that time. This is, I see that their health is improving.
Any other things about improvements? Wisdom from experience, often from being able to reflect. Okay, if nobody has anything else, we can move on. Anybody have anything else?
Prachi,
wisdom.
Yeah, they want to give to the society at this age, so they become more
Readily.
aware of the society and what they can share with the society. Awareness of the society.
Amazing. Deepa, your typing is fantastic. You type very fast without mistakes, without looking at the keyboard also.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. So the reason I wanted to do this exercise was in the training I received. As yoga teachers, we're much more than just teaching asana. Not especially, but in the context of seniors, a yoga class can be a place where people get to build a new community. So if they're dealing with isolation, this can be a really valuable time every week or multiple times a week where they have friendships, they feel listened to, they feel like they're relevant, they start to realize their own self-worth and what they have to offer. And in a yoga class, in addition to teaching asana, we're teaching concepts about life. So as teachers, we empower our students, senior students in this case, they will start to realize, you know, what they have to offer. They may start to meet other people who may be more active in terms of hobbies. So there's other ways that we can open up their horizons on what is possible in this phase of life. And also it's, you know, really important for us to be mindful. There's unfortunately a very natural, you know, in India, it's a little tricky. We both have a culture of default reverence towards seniors, but also there's an unconscious irreverence towards seniors where some of the times seniors feel irrelevant is because those who haven't come to that stage of life cannot understand the relevance in the box that we've understood so far. So we have to be very mindful that we're not accidentally condescending, but really have a deep amount of respect for what they've been through and what we have to learn from them as teachers. So that's piece number one, is kind of the social life relevance piece. As teachers, we can bring into a class to support them. And the other ones are around health. So we need to be very mindful, as you know, Neha pointed out, body heals very slowly, chances of injury are high. One of the things we didn't actually mention is balance gets quite low. Balance goes down, and the fear of falling means that often people actually become a lot more inactive. So they'll just walk less because they're scared of the results of falling. So as a result, there's muscle atrophy, atrophy meaning like decline in the muscle strength and muscle volume. Another major issue that I forgot to mention is loss in bone density, which isn't inevitable. I mean, it can, like, it will happen, but it doesn't have to happen. And there's ways to prevent that. Again, both linked to mobility, but also just general well-being. Did someone want to say
this
something?
generally happens. This generally happens. Loss in bone density if a person is non-yogi. It will happen. If not at 60, 68. Another thing I wanted to add is the nervous system starts becoming slower, weaker, or degenerative.
Yeah, which is part of why there's also mental, like a lot of memory issues and coordination issues.
No, when you said balance, no, the balance is also related to the nervous system. That's when it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so building off that point of Neha saying nervous system, balance is one, and linked to that is coordination. So like right from left, which is again linked to that. And again, even more linked to that is memory. So just in terms of how the wiring in our brain goes, a lot of, for anyone who's familiar with basic neuroplasticity, like some of the pathways in our brain, because it's the what is it, use it or lose it function, both with muscles and with our brain. So as we stop doing certain activities, the ability to continue enjoying those functions of the brain also go down. So that's why, you know, for kids, because they're learning, their memory is generally much better. When we age, we stop trying to remember new things. And on the other side, you know, as we were saying, there's a lot more interest in spirituality, in how they can contribute and give back. So these things can also be integrated into a yoga class. So I'll pause there for a moment before going into class design. Does anyone have any questions or additional thoughts on this piece so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think because this was discussed by Chitra, that the intent of the person, the student, the intent, so what is their goal for themselves can also be incorporated in the, so based on which the session plan can be customized.
Yeah.
But
designed.
Remember when we had classes with Chitra, she said that, you know, they come with a goal, but as a yoga trainer, we have to set our goals. We can't comply with their goals. That's what I remember.
So I think it's a combination. From what I've learned, if you don't give people some of what they want, they will go away. So it's about honoring where that person is at, and also having as a teacher a place you want to take them in mind, and seeing
How will I teach them?
yeah, exactly, you figure out how to teach them. Okay, it's kind of hard. Can someone else help with typing also, because I won't I'll have to pause for a while.
Sorry, I'm on my phone actually.
Anybody else on a computer?
Yeah, tell me. So I'll type bone density volume. So what do you want to mention here? Like, tell me.
What would be some of the goals that we want to, based on what we've said? So goals would be place for social connection and new friendships, place where they feel relevant and valued and understood.
Place where they grow spiritually.
Yeah.
So basically yoga on the mat and yoga off the mat, both the things work in combination here, 50-50 in a combination, whereas with the young generation it's maybe 80-20, and the scriptures and all.
Yeah, thank you so much for mentioning that. So again, full disclaimer, this is not, I don't know what Vika's opinion on this will be, but in the other school I trained in, we were taught that for kids, you keep very little meditation, very little pranayam, and you focus a lot more on asana, just based, the basically say it's a crime to try and keep children very still. They're so full of energy, and we should be really supporting them in that phase. And they say for middays, which is our category, that that's when you start to bring in the antaranga yoga. So it's more, as you said, Prachi, the 75-80% asana and 20% antaranga yoga with pranayam and meditation. And again, at the senior year, we're increasing the time internally that people want as a general framework. So 60-40, 70-30 kind of thing, but not to leave out the physical stuff because of the body degeneration. It's really important to keep that in also.
So more focus on pranayama.
The goal is to increase the immunity. The immunity.
That's a good one. Yeah. Other things?
Strengthening the nervous
Glad
system.
I'm here.
Strengthening the nervous system. There are certain asanas, pranayams, especially for the nervous system, strengthening nervous system. Yeah. Who's typing? These are typing.
I butchered that. Other things?
Here,
class breakdown, what I've realized.
Class breakdown. Sorry. Yes. Neha, you were saying something.
Prachi, what you were saying?
No, I was saying in the breakdown, class breakdown, I think we have to break down here in 3 categories. One is asana, pranayama, and the third one is scriptures, because they are more interested in scriptures and all. Whereas maybe, young generations are not really interested.
Yeah, the young generation will not be.
So,
in class, it's quite interesting because when I start teaching,
Ila? मेरा फालतू है, तू बोल.
Neha, you're
अरे नहीं, Ila बोल ना क्या? Then I say, I just wanted to share my experience. अरे बोल ना.
भूल भी गई.
अच्छा. What I was saying is that when I started taking classes here and there, one-on-one, or let's say like friends or neighbors or anything, so what I realized was that, remember that class schedule that we made, that Vivek made us make, that's perfect for every class. Now, somewhere the asanas increase, the time, pranayam increase, decrease, and some days we can do more pranayam and some days. So I think that breakup is universal. We only need to change the asanas, pranayam. I really like that when I do myself and when others join me for yoga. It works for kids, senior citizens, everybody.
What was the schedule that Vivek shared, you mean?
No, the schedule that we made, na, he gave us.
For ourselves.
Start with that. वो 1 hour ka schedule we make, na. So for a class schedule also, when we go out and we teach, we train, that really works. Like one day is like we focus basically on pranayam, yog nidra. 2 days yog nidra in a week. So with seniors, we can start that. With kids, teenagers, So I really like that. You include everything in that 1 hour. And when I start teaching others, I realize that I don't have to work hard. We've been taught in a way, you take that schedule, just change karte jao. Jaise with kids, I only do Brahmari, nothing else. Because that's what is being taught when I was reading the book. And I started yoga at the age of 14. So I remember my childhood days. And when I was 14, I joined the yoga class, which was for 8 to 15 years. So they used to do with me. And then I turned 16. That was a art excel. That was a children's course. Then from the age of 16, I joined to 25 was a young adult course for yoga. So I remember my those days. And I'm reading this book that I shared now in Discord. Same thing. With kids, the only mention is Brahmari. So with kids, I follow the same schedule that we are being given. That is very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Deepa, here I feel this general class breakdown will come in designing of the class, isn't it? And are we not mixing goals and designing?
Yes, good catch. Thank you.
Okay. So one more thing, these goals are, what is happening is we are just actually whatever challenges are there, no, we are just correcting those challenges that we have to do this, but goal will be something different, isn't it? Like not only these things, but goal, how to focus on their own goals and how we are going to do the coordination between our goal and rather what goal we should give them, something like that. That discussion or that specification should come here, isn't it? That's what just my understanding.
I think for today's call, to have look, I think each teacher based on their students is going to have to make their own judgment call. And I think these are all the general goals you can take into consideration, which includes the thing that you just shared about the goals of the students themselves. So you'll have to decide, what is your focus? And the reality is you can usually hit 5 of these goals with one asana, for example. Like with one thing, you can both open their hips and improve bone density and help with arthritis in their knees. And you can, bring in an element of feel really strong. So psychologically, I don't know. So it's just keeping them all in mind as you then design a specific class goal. I don't know. Did I address what you're saying or did I miss your point?
No, it's fine. It's correct. I was just saying that when we are setting up the goal, I don't know, maybe you're correct also. Fine.
Yeah.
No, she's actually, Chitra, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, okay. In general, it can be like, it's like a phase change, right? So accepting that, helping them to accept that phase change. So all goals that have been listed, no, it will help them to accept that change, the phase change they are going through. Also, the physical challenges that they are facing, to help them improve the condition. So this can be the right. I think in general, if we go by a general word, it can be like accepting the change in phase, helping them to accept those changes.
Chitra has gone, it seems. She got disconnected. Yeah, she's back.
She's back.
Sorry, I got disconnected. Yes. Hello.
Yeah, Chitra.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So that's what. So it is about accepting the phase change in all other phases, like mentally, physically, and spiritually also.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Correct.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. That can be the general goal. I'm just telling. Like.
So why don't we classify goals in these categories then? Like mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual, because we cannot. So I think that will make it measurable for us as to what measurable, like Prachi said. So what Prachi said, wanted to, I think, if I'm interpreting her correctly, is that measuring the goals in a manner that we bring together what the student wants and what the teacher wants, and bridging the gap and bringing it all together to a single point.
Amit,
So
what they want and what they need are two
this
different
will,
things. Remember, we had this discussion in class.
so yeah. So bridging that and bringing that to a common point so that the student also feels that
No,
there is
just the
a
document point of view, I'm just saying that we are, whatever the challenges are there, what we are doing is we are just, across that we are just writing the goals, but it need not to be like that. We can just say that we have to integrate whatever the physical challenges, physical,
Yeah.
and all those challenges, and set the goal for that each individual or each student, and then
I think
go.
don't do that. Don't change this. Keep it a general goal. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
Don't.
this is just a loose document. People can use this however they want, and I don't think we should get too.
Okay.
I think
You
once
just leave
once
it.
it goes into the repository, the learning
Then we'll
repository
edit.
starts,
Yeah.
then you can finesse it and make it more.
Fine. Okay.
Abhi, just leave it like that. Just keep points. Note down notes. Edit it later.
Okay.
Done. Okay.
Now the thing is, general goals done. Now how to go about it? What will be our
Yeah. Okay. So now beyond
designing?
this, it's up to you guys would have to figure out how you design the class. I think at this point, what becomes relevant now is actually what can be taught and how asana can be modified. And I think once we have clarity on that, then we can play around with how we might design a class. And like my hope for this is if there's a lot of interest, then today we just do a preliminary discussion around how asanas may be modified, and that in a subsequent call we can come in with a richer set of modified asanas, and then we can start actually maybe practicing designing classes and giving each other feedback on designing classes and what I just think like the capacity for us to learn this properly is pretty high over a few calls. So I don't know what do you guys think if we should just spend the next 20 minutes looking at ways asanas can be modified, and then we can find another time to continue to go deeper if there's interest.
Yeah. That
Like
sounds
the
like
first thing
a
is to
wonderful
use
plan.
props. Is to use props, cushions. Yeah, I remember this discussion. We have to use a lot of props and cushions for them.
So, I mean, look, there's standing asanas, sitting asanas, all of these things. So one of the things is I don't want to, I wanted us to not start with chair. So a lot of times when people think seniors, they start with chair in bed yoga. But for actually a lot of seniors, they, even if they're inclining, going towards not wanting to stand and move around, that as yoga teachers, we need to push them to basically get off their butt and be more active in the standing. So I thought it'd be nice to actually start with standing asanas for seniors. Because I've
yes, I agree. Yeah.
So,
So
Because it's
focus
easier for
on
them to stand but not sit. They can't sit cross-legged or
that
it's
also, I
easier for
mean,
them to
that,
stand.
yeah, and with sitting, like you said, cushions are there and chairs are there.
No
There's a lot of
cushions and
things.
props. It's only for yeah. You're showing us some asanas.
Yeah, I'm going to just start off by showing some things.
Yeah, and also I needed help from this group. Is that like, so I have my aunt, to say that, so she can't sit on the ground, and she has the knees problem. Okay, so I wanted to understand that how she can do Surya Namaskar. I know that somebody, I think Ambika or someone, they share the pictures of Surya Namaskar if someone, I mean, sitting on the chair. But still, if any such other suggestions are there, or or how other asanas she can do, if I have to teach yoga to her, for example, so how can we teach such kind of people who have knees problem and cannot just sit on the ground and can't even do the balancing asanas also because of obviously the knees pain. She can't do like the vrikshasana and all that. So what kind of asanas such people can do, and especially the Surya Namaskar, if we can teach them, how can we do that?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry, I need to leave.
Oh, okay.
My father, my grandmother, and now
Bye-bye.
my daughter is unwell.
oh, what
Oh,
happened?
Take
hope
care.
We've got
nothing
the test
major.
done tomorrow. No, we've got the test done. It's major, so we are waiting for the reports. Yeah. So
Good
now my
luck, good luck,
daughter is
all the
showing
best.
symptoms. Chalo, bye, huh? Please pray
Bye
for
Take
us.
care,
bye.
Neha.
Take care.
Take
We'll pray
care.
for you. Pray for you.
Take care,
Take care,
Neha.
Neha.
Take care. Bye.
Hope she's okay.
So
Yeah.
Rakhi, focusing at your point, I'll just share a few things. I have started yoga for my parents now, and so we are doing Sukshma Vyayama every day. That's one thing. So that really helps them taking away, like I think, and Vivek has also clearly mentioned that we should be doing Sukshma Vyayama, and that really helping them releasing whatever Pavana is there, that Vata is there from the joint. So Sukshma Vyayama helps, removes whatever Vata is there from the joints, and it is really helping them. So one is this. Then for the knee, even so knees, what we have to do is, remember Vivek had taught us the squeezing of the knee and releasing, squeezing and releasing. So that practice we are doing every day. Then diaphragm breathing, that we are doing every day. These few things we have started. I have also not started Surya Namaskara with them. Though my father makes an attempt to do Surya Namaskara, but I'm going slow with them, so he is not doing it perfectly. So I told him yesterday, he was trying. I said, "You please don't do it right now. Let's first release whatever the issues are there, and then slowly, maybe after 15 days or so, we will we will do the first attempt of Surya Namaskara. This is how I have started with. So anyone else wants to give me guide me on this, please, you are open. And if this is fine for Rakhi also, I have not started Surya Namaskara right now.
Yeah, so Sukshma Vyamas are anyways there, Prachi. So absolutely. So when I also mentioned I started this discussion, I think Deepa, as I wrote, so this only that Sukshma Vyamas are any which ways they are there. Apart from Sukshma Vyamas, what and how can we teach the senior citizens, especially who can't do balancing asanas, who can't sit on the ground? So there I'm seeking help.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just start with a bunch of standing things. So, we were talking about two important priorities being increasing bone density, improving muscle strength, and improving balance. So that's something we try to keep in mind in every asana we give. So with standing, different people will have different levels of balance. So those who have a bit more balance, they can just we want to make the asanas we teach we should try and keep as many of them wide-legged as possible. So one of the things that happens is, out of fear of falling, people start walking a bit more like this, and they're not willing to pull their legs out wide. But balance, comes from this. When you can move your legs out wide, you can bend down. This is a strong balancing posture. So one of the things that they say is, the same forward bend that we might do with our legs together, we do so many asanas with our legs together to actually get them to widen their hips as much as possible. And generally you have to encourage them. When you say widen your legs, they'll go like this, like this. So you'll have to really encourage them in doing that. And then the second one is, part of it is you're wanting to improve the condition of their knees. Now doing Utkatasana is crazy, but with this, you can get them to bend their knees a little bit and just start like this. And over time, you may be able to improve their ability to hold it for longer. And one of the things we talked about with Vivek, he was talking about how generally you want to encourage people to hold a posture statically, to hold it for a while to improve strength. But if there's a lot of weakness, holding it is out of the question. So you're just doing it dynamically, just for them to move a little bit to increase their strength. Now, given that some people may be feeling like they don't have the balance, this can be very, very scary. So there's actually a lot of standing chair yoga, so not sitting chair yoga, but using a chair purely for the purposes of balancing, so that they'll feel more comfortable keeping their legs out wide and then maybe bending. Just say Utkatasana, you could do like this. Now with forward bends, this thing could be very scary for someone who doesn't feel like they have balance. But as soon as you keep your legs out wide, and all you have to do is go down as far as here, it's far less scary. And then over time, you can encourage them to go down further, further, further. And with the support of the chair, they may even one day feel fine to go all the way down. So there's with standing, that's just like a basic, and back bend you can also do in the same way. So back bend is a very tricky for balance purposes. Here you really feel like you're going to lose your balance. So you can hold the chair like this, or even the edge of a table you can do, and you can lean back like this, and you have a bit more stability as you do that. So that's some basic things. And you can also do, that crisscross when you're trying to twist. So you can also, raise arms up and then do this and use the chair to support, or, like that. Instead of this crisscross one, you can do it like this.
Yeah, I think this seems practical and doable.
And then the other thing is against a wall. So we often, Surya Namaskar, you have both Bhujangasana and Parvatasana. So Parvatasana we're normally doing on the ground. You can get a lot of the same effect of Parvatasana with a wall. You're putting pressure on your hands and you're getting that flexibility in your back, but you're not upside down. So you're not dealing with vertigo or BP issues or balance issues. And again, here you can keep your legs out wide as you're doing it. And then wall Bhujangasana, you go against the wall, you place your hands here, and you keep a little bit distance. And you can just lean your hips forward and your back backwards, and you'll feel a slight strain on your lower back, which is helping you with the strengthening of it. And you're also getting a stretch in your upper back. This is wall Bhujangasana.
Okay.
Those are a couple of
And
standing.
Deepa, what about Ashwasanchalana? Is there
So
anything for that also?
That again, I mean, I would say, with the chair, if they've got something stable. See, I think this is out of the question, right? So
Right.
the question is, what effect are you going for? So in Ashwasanchalan, if we just use our logic, you're opening up the hips in this direction, right? So, so you're going for something like Veerbhadra Asana equivalent in standing. So can you do Veerbhadra in standing? You can again, just using the chair, you can get them to, so they can start off by standing. Take the legs. Let me lower the camera.
No, we can see
No, I
you.
think it's fine. We can see you.
We can see you.
It's fine, Deepa.
Okay. So now I've lost balance in my camera. Huh. So, so first you put your legs out wide and then you get them to take a step back if they're comfortable, and then bend the front knee forward. Just see
Okay.
how much they can. So that's
Yeah.
another one.
Okay.
Deepa, but this those who are having knee issues, they might get hurt their knee all the more with this, no, if they bend the knee. In Utkatasana also, what you have shown, little
Yeah.
bit of bending also, it hurts actually for them. They are unable to
So
do.
so it really depends, right? Like a lot of seniors, some have really serious, genuine issues, and others have gotten into the habit of complaining about issues. And so you have to really learn to ascertain where they're at. So for some people, right, moving, the knee just doesn't move anymore. So for them, you cannot do this. They'll have to sit on a chair, and first you're just doing this much. You're just learning to move it. But for those who have mobility and can walk, just bending 2 centimeters down, you can start, or 4 centimeters down. You're trying to find bearable pain, not unbearable pain. But
And
you
I
have to
think
be careful, because with osteoporosis or rheumatoid arthritis, some can increase the not all arthritis. It depends on the type of arthritis. Some increase the degeneration of the bone, and you don't want to make things worse. You have to make sure you consult their doctor and what their doctor says in terms of what is good for their condition or not.
How much they can move, I guess we need to figure out, right? How much movement we can give.
Yeah, what is that edge of the movement? Because actually that mobility and strengthening improves these things, like your arthritis. When you have stronger muscles to support and you have more mobility, because mobility also increases the synovial fluids in your joints. So it's actually catch-22. When you stop moving it, the lubrication in your joints is also going to go down. So to listen too much to that pain, depending on the actual condition, can make things worse. And sometimes pain isn't always the best indicator. It depends on the kind of pain and intensity of pain.
I feel one more thing that this seniors, we cannot hold, at least at this moment, we cannot hold any session online for them, because it's very dangerous. We don't know, we cannot, if they have any fall or anything, whatever. So let's have one-to-one, or maybe, the personal has to be there.
Yeah, I mean, often I think with this, I think there's different ways of going around it. One is you could do a one-to-one session with each person before they join your class, where you just take half an hour to do a verbal interview and to ask them to move things in front of you to see what their comfort level is, so that when you teach, you can then integrate those modifications, and you really encourage them to go to check in within themselves. And in that personal one-to-one, you can help them set a goal. Like you can ask them, okay, would you like to improve your balance and mobility? So here are some basic things you should keep in mind, but be careful when you're doing the classes. So I think there are definitely workarounds, and you don't need to write it off necessarily.
I'll start. Most likely, I'm going to start with all the senior citizens in my family only, because especially the aunt. I mean, so I'm talking about. So she's constantly asking me that, teach me yoga. So I was more wanted to know that, especially with her and with knees problem and also how can I teach her. So I'm going to start personally with them. And I think, Deepa, you have helped me a lot by this Surya Namaskar, this ball Bhujangasana, and also that I think this is doable and we can get them do this thing. And it's easy for them.
So the other thing for standing before, because I won't go into, because we're almost out of time, so I won't go into other things. The other thing while standing is, we talked about brain degeneration and nervous system getting weaker. So one of the big things for improving that is doing asymmetrical things. So where your right has to go to the left side and left has to go to the right side. So things like twisting from one side, getting them to put their hand here, or going like this is actually very good for them. And the other thing is shoulders can also get quite stiff. And so there's often this exercise we can do where you, if you got them standing, wide legs, knees bent a little bit, and then they raise one arm from the side and then bring it down and look to this side, bring it here, and then bring it here. But like 1, 2, 3, like just going back and forth and saying left to right, right to left, and making them think. And then over time, even like bringing in numbers. Okay, this is position 1, this is position 2. So now go to position 4, go to position 1. You're making it a little tricky, and they're having to think exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So bringing in a little bit of game that way. So to actually, for it to not be that they switch their brain off and they're now just doing what you've told them to do, but they actually have to think, okay, I'm supposed to do this now. Am I doing this correctly? Where is my hand, supposed to be, or foot supposed to be?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Oh, one other thing for standing that you can do is also upper backs can become very tight. So a lot of people start hunching when they get older, this thing. And it's not as simple as you just pull it back, like just that mobility is not there in the muscles. So one of the things you can do to help them release that over time is, one is you can have, instead of, that Sukshma Vyayam where we interlock our fingers and we usually bend from the lower back all the way back. Instead of doing that, you just get them to roll their shoulders back and open up their chest. And you can do that. And then the other thing is you grab a pen and just get them to hold a pen, and they can stand. This is best done against the wall. So I'll first show it sideways and I'll do it against the wall. Elbows have to be straight. And one hand is on top of the other on a pen. You just get them to raise their arms up. And just this, having the hands together like this, one on top of the other, raising their arms up, naturally opens up your shoulder and upper back area. And it's very gentle. So they usually like it a lot as well. And just going down. And you can just go up and down. Like it's like a Sukshma Vyayam almost. You can just do 5 or 6 rounds of that. And so normally what we do is we do it against a wall where their feet are a few inches away from the wall. And the target is to have the pen touch the wall. So you're improving, shoulder mobility. But just be careful that they don't have frozen shoulder, because if they have frozen shoulder, then that makes it worse, not better. But otherwise, it's generally okay.
The people, those who are having frozen shoulder, they should not be doing hand raise in Sukshma Vyayama, not at all.
So one of the things people mistake is they think frozen shoulder is like having a stiff shoulder, where in yoga we're usually like, oh, it's stiff, let me open it up to stretch it open. But in frozen shoulder, it's an inflammation. And so when you raise it, what you're doing is you're aggravating an injury, and you're resulting that inflammation to continue without stopping. So if physios are the best place to actually address that. People should really go there. But basically what you want to do is rest it to some degree and apply heat and things. But then only go as far as your body will naturally let you go. So keep that movement up and rest it the rest of the time. And then over time, mobility will increase. And as the physio suggests, you can do strengthening, which in yoga is also possible. But since we're not yoga therapists, it's outside of our mandate to know how to help them recover. So you just make sure they go to the physio. But don't encourage them to do more than that frozen shoulder will allow them to do, because pain in frozen shoulder means aggravating injury. And there we don't want to push it. I think that's all for now. Any other questions or things people want to share?
Nothing as of now.
This will really help us, Deepa.
I'm glad that I was a part of group that is so well updated, because I am like not at all updated on all this. No idea.
No,
So
same
I'm glad
here,
I joined
Ela.
I'm glad I joined the Zoom meeting, and I've never joined any Zoom meeting, so I'm feeling like a what corporate person.
Yeah,
So, like,
well,
I'm having a different experience altogether.
That I could sense you are just enjoying it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was
I'm
good.
feeling cool
Like,
about it.
yeah.
इतना भी cool नहीं है, Ela. Corporate feeling. I'm sure you won't like it after some point of time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure of that. I'm just trying to pull myself up for some work. Like I have to get back on Insta and work for I'm not doing anything because this is so engrossing. I just enjoy the
Problem or something, and then we can work or research on that, and then we can discuss. So each one will have something to give inputs, right? So that is what I felt like. Is that good?
yeah, I think that's a really nice
Yeah.
idea. Maybe we can pick 2 or 3 issue, like if we want to do it again in 1 or 2 weeks from now, 1 hour call. But yeah, we can choose. I think for one issue, 1 hour is too long. Maybe we pick 4 goals. So it could be knees, elbows,
Yeah.
and do that.
Okay.
Yeah, for the knee issue, I just want to show you something. I thought maybe you all guys must be knowing also. So this squeezing of the knee, you all are aware. This really helps, and it has helped me a lot. So can you all see my knee here?
Yes, yes, Prachi.
So what am I doing is I'm just squeezing it and releasing it, squeezing and releasing. So during the day, even on the chair, if I'm sitting on the chair, you can guide your student that, even if whenever you're sitting, just squeeze and release, squeeze and release. And after 5 counts, maybe you can squeeze and hold it for a while and then release. So this really helps, and it has helped me personally. So I can tell you that.
So how does it help? I mean, what is the implication?
So the lubrication starts happening there when we are squeezing and releasing the knee. The problem always is the lubricants get dried up, and we are unable to. I mean, then the
I'm so happy
hurting,
that I'm a part of this group. Yeah, thank you. Great.
Actually, to add to that, because Priyam
So
suggested
it's
the
like
same thing. Sorry, go Chitra.
Okay. Yeah, it's like stretch out your legs and just lightly squeeze your legs in and out.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
with the
what we
help
have
of
to do.
thigh, with the help of your thighs, you can squeeze it. So you just hold your thigh, and then from the bottom you just hold your thigh and just see, because I will be unable to you will be unable to see this, and then squeeze and release, squeeze and release. You will get the feel at your bottom of your thigh, and then you will know.
So, Prachi, is it somewhere like gather, push, and tighten, where we
No.
tighten,
So
Not
where
gather,
we
push,
are,
and tighten, the other one.
resist, and tighten?
Or maybe it's gather, push.
no. So
Yeah,
there,
the one where you pull your kneecaps up, that kind
हाँ
of.
वही वाला gather, push, tighten नहीं था. It was something else क्या?
no, उसमें ना हम लोग सारे जॉइंट्स को पुल
हाँ.
गैदर कर रहे हैं, तो यहाँ सिर्फ नी के ऊपर फोकस करना है, बस इतना ही.
हाँ, so yeah, that was my point was, so जैसे मतलब knee was a portion में उस आसना में करते हैं, so it's the same one which what
Yes,
we are doing.
yes,
Okay.
Right now also
But
you can
that-
just check, if you keep your hands, both your hands, entangle your fingers and place them just bottom of your thigh and hold your thigh and just see. And release. You will realize, how it helps.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Priyam really recommended that sitting in that Dandasana wala, like sitting on the floor or a bed with your legs in front to do this. And she calls it the strengthen and lengthen. So what you're doing is you're strengthening the muscles of your knee and you're lengthening the hamstrings and the muscles underneath the knee. So you're increasing the mobility and the strength at the same time.
Yeah, correct. So maybe this is the scientific way of, yeah, what I've just mentioned. Correct.
Great.
Priyam's way. Okay, so let's wrap up this call if everyone's okay with that, and maybe if people are in agreement, we can go with Chitra's suggestion on Discord. We can decide what subtopics of this we want to focus on, and next time we can research and come together with asanas.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, who would like to do closing prayer?
Chitra?
Sure. Okay. Clasp your palms in front of your chest. Let's pray to your God or Guru. Let's thank each one of us and Deepa for coordinating this. And let's thank our Guru for helping us come together here. Take a breath, inhale and exhale. And let's chant Purnamada. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.
Thank you.